Is it time to short Airbnb stock? That is the question that I'm going to pose to you today, and I'm going to go over this at a lower resolution, higher altitude view. I'm not going to dive into the numbers. I'm just going to tell you what I see going on the ground. So we live in Mexico, and here the Mexican authorities have basically made Airbnb completely unprofitable. There's either a 20% or a 4% tax, if you want to jump through hoops, tax on what Airbnb gives you. There's a 16% tax that is also taken out as VAT. There's also approximately a 20% occupancy tax on top of that. That is how much the Mexican government takes out. Of course, as U.S. citizens, we have to pay taxes on what we make here, but aside of the Airbnb fees that are included, but it makes it absolutely unprofitable. So what's happening is that governments around the world are basically realizing that they have another piggy bank that they can loot. And because it's all digital, Airbnb has to comply and send the payments over there, so it becomes much more profitable for the homeowner to do a cash transaction, which, by the way, is why the government wants to institute CBDCs so that they can control you. You see, if I'm even making money on it, but I'm making 20 to 25% of my efforts, and it takes a lot of efforts to host successfully and help people out, because I've been a host for a long time, I don't want to do it, because that's the approximate amount that we have left over. I don't want to be a slave to the government, to those in power, to those who put into their pockets or their friends' pockets my hard work. So that's the first and biggest thing that Airbnb has going against it. Second of all, they've alienated a substantial number of their customers, their hosts, their travelers. Why? Because in the United States, and possibly elsewhere around the world, they banned conservatives from their platform. Not only did they ban conservatives for political views that they disagreed with or showing up at a non-sanctioned Airbnb event, they also, for example, cast off Lauren Southern, a person that they had a problem with, her parents, for merely being associated with her. Now, I find this to be a huge turnoff, and it negatively affects the association that I have with the company that I used to have an incredibly positive feel towards, to the point where I no longer want to do business with them, to the point where I messaged Airbnb and said that I am considering voting for Donald Trump. I know that I'll be kicked off the platform, but what will happen to my mom's account? Of course, I'm being snide, but this is the reality that they created for their customers. When they cancel somebody's parents' ability to use the platform, even if they reinstitute it after a public outcry, it shows you where their heart is. And so for that reason, I and numerous other people have less desire to give our hard-earned dollars to a woke corporation. And furthermore, the customer service on Airbnb that used to be absolutely exceptional a decade ago when I first joined has now gone completely downhill. This is partly because they are hiring people in call centers in India because they're a public company and they want to save on money, and their business has grown so dramatically, but the customer service cannot answer a simple question. And for example, even though our property is here in Mexico, they asked me for the USPS address, not once, not twice, but 3 times, insisted that I give them my US zip code for the property so that they could help me. I don't know how you deal with that. You just have to hang up the phone and you just say, bye-bye, not doing business with you, because it's an impossibility if this is the customer service that they are providing. So these are the general trends that one sees from a higher level altitude. The problem with shorting Airbnb is that they are essentially, aside of VRBO, a digital monopoly that everybody uses, and they have tremendous network effects. Now, what might happen in the future is a potential competitor using Bitcoin, which the transactions cannot be prevented by the government as Bitcoin grows in popularity, will be able to take over. And although the protections that Airbnb offers for the customer and for the host may not be there, it will substantially alleviate the friction of the taxes, similar to a cash payment system, and thus will not have to fall in line with complying with the heavy hand of government that wants to make you a slave and give you a tiny morsel to eat while they consume the majority of your earnings. I think that Airbnb is in a really tough spot given the fact that they have to comply with government regulations that are massive and onerous and add tremendous friction, as well as pilfering money that could otherwise be going to their hosts, disincentivizing them from working. Again, I'd rather just sit back and collect an unemployment check, and Airbnb politically went woke, which I absolutely don't appreciate. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section. Peace.